Hello and welcome to the SBL Guru podcast. My name is Marty Windle, and today we are joined with a very special guest. Her name is Erin Morton. She's a legend in the world of auditing, AA lecturing at the skills stage of professional. So I'm just going to give you, Erin, a few minutes to introduce herself.
I don't need a few minutes, but thanks, Marty. So I'm Erin Morton, and I teach or really do specialise in audit and assurance predominantly for ACCA now. I've worked for 20 years in the classroom and online, writing material, teaching across all of the accountancy professional exams, but definitely much more specialised in ACCA now. And I also now deliver courses on FME Learn Online. So I have my own on-demand courses, which I can support students directly, which is lots of fun.
Excellent. So today, we're going to talk about a topic. First topic we're going to talk about today on the podcast is close to people's hearts. And it's a thing that I think most students suffer with, and that is exam stress. So I think exam stress is quite normal. You're not weird if you're having exam stress. You're kind of weird if you're not having exam stress. So exam stress is something that a lot of students are going to have to deal with, especially during the course of studying for ACCA. Especially a lot of people have panic over the written papers. So I just wonder, Erin, could you share with me, like from your years of experience, any kind of tips that students could take and use going forward in relation to managing that exam stress?
Yeah, I think being realistic is one big thing. Like you mentioned, it's almost normal that you would feel stressed, and I almost don't believe people when they say that they don't get stressed or worked up in any sense. It's just more some people seem to be able to naturally manage stress better than others. And if you are in the camp where you feel like it bubbles over, then there's just a few techniques and tips that really will help you in preparation for that. Personally, I was always someone that I'm a big overthinker, and I was very aware of that when I was going through my exams. So I used to just make sure that I'd given myself absolutely every opportunity to learn properly. I wasn't really in the camp of wanting to wing any of the exams in the hope that I would be able to just about scrape past, because I knew how I would feel at the end and how uncomfortable and stressed I would feel if I felt like there was gaps or things that I wasn't sure of. I just made sure that I planned properly. And so, if you are someone that naturally does get, worried about things, then just don't give yourself the opportunity to feel stressed and overwhelmed at the end, and actually just make sure that you take lots of breaks. I don't know, you Marty, was you a winger, or was you a pro preparer?
I was kind of a last minuter. So I was kind of like, didn't do that much work until about 6 weeks before the exam. Then I just, in a blind panic, I kind of consolidated at the end. I think the revision courses for me were a massive help in terms of dealing with my stress. Like that revision course, when I went in to do revision, I was like, I've got any hope, I'm just like underprepared. But the revision course really kind of helped me to organize and helped me to de-stress, because the lecturers were kind of giving me advice and tips about what to do. This is how you do it. And actually that made a massive difference. The other thing
I used to look forward to my revision courses, because once I'd kind of learned all of the knowledge, and I'd started looking at a few questions, and I was getting a little bit prepared towards the exam, but it still felt quite overwhelming. But I agree, I found the revision course for me was the time when I could really start to focus on what I was going to have to face. And I think, unfortunately, what happens is a lot of students kind of ignore that side of the preparation, and therefore sort of when they get nearer the exam, they feel like they haven't done enough, and they still don't really understand what the exam is all about. So yeah, in terms of preparing properly, having a solid plan that breaks up your learning so that you are learning the core syllabus information, because that's obviously important regardless of what paper you're actually doing, but then making sure that you have scheduled enough time for, disciplined question practice, reviewing the examiner's report, looking, even on the ACCA YouTube, and looking at information relevant to your specific subject. And there's lots of resources that you can pull together and read through and watch, so that you can fully understand your subject. And I think then if you get a bit of a picture of what's expected of you, then that can make sure that you're a little bit more well managed when you get nearer the exam, and getting a little bit of self-belief is definitely key to that. But yeah, having plenty of time and having a solid plan, I would say, is the two key things that you need to have.
Yeah, and I think you picked up on one thing there about taking breaks, which I think is like really important in terms of your studying. Is I used to just break my study time into like 40-minute sessions, 40-minute session. Then I'd go and make a cup of tea. I'd then like go for a walk. I mean, walking is an amazing way to kind of reset and to recharge your batteries. So the other thing I would say in terms of your mental health, it's quite tough on your mental health during your ACCA exams. Tell people, tell your friends, tell your family you're doing the exams, because then don't do it in secret. I mean, they can be an important source of support for you and help for you and encourage you along the way. And that can be massively helpful if you can get the people around you to support you during your exams, and you tell them, hey, I'm not going out for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to be in studying. And you've got to let them know.
Remember those days very, very clearly. I agree. Yeah, it is important to have that kind of cheerleading team behind you, so that people are aware and don't actually try and lead you down the wrong path. Because it's important to have some discipline, but we're all human, and it's very easy to get pulled away from information and pulled away from your studies to do something else, when in fact that's what's really important.
Yeah, and I think that one thing you can, and we don't have to be a monk or a nun when you're studying for exams. So I think the important thing is, if you're going to work really hard for a few days, have that evening off where you go for a nice meal or a few beers or whatever it is. Give yourself a treat as a reward to yourself for working hard is a massive thing that you can do. If you've been working hard all weekend, have a couple of beers on Sunday night. It's not going to kill you. It's like you need to have that de-stress and to like, reacclimatize to the real world. So that's a massive thing, to de-stress. Go and talk to your mates and go and talk to your friends or talk to your family, so build in that reward time. And that could be chocolate as well. Don't forget. Yeah. Chocolate
could be all of those things.
Or all of those things in one go.
That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the main thing is just get support and be organized. Absolutely right, Erin. Like, be organized and try to do a little bit every day is good. Getting that habit, that habit is massive, So if you do it, it's better to do an hour every day for 5 days than to do 5 hours in one go.
I agree.
It's to build it up is the important thing. So the more organized and prepared you are, the less stress you will feel, I believe. So actually, a lot of stress is because you're disorganized and you're not properly prepared. So get yourself prepared can help you with your stress as well. Any final tips, Erin, on dealing with stress in the examination?
In the exam itself, there's so many different ways that the students these days are sitting the exam, aren't they? Because there's some doing remote learning, so they'll be in their home environment, and then there's others at centre-based exams. There's a couple of tips I know from students that I've spoken to get very upset about too much noise distracting them and disturbances if they're sitting in a centre-based exam. So in that situation, massive tip to try and make sure that you can block things out is to bring some earplugs if you are in a centre-based exam, because those keyboards make lots and lots of noise. And so if that's something that is going to overwhelm you when you're trying to concentrate on a really in-depth scenario, then definitely make sure that you are bringing some tools like that with you so that you can concentrate properly. So yeah, and then in terms of the remote exams, so if someone's sitting in a home environment, there's lots of prep that you need to do to make sure that you're ready and your computer's ready for the remote invigilated exam. And again, don't think, right, my exam's at 9 o'clock, so I'm just going to log on at 8 and hope for the best. Get logged on and go through all of those checks and tests as early as possible, so that that you've given your computer chance to do any loading that it has to do, go through any processes that it has to go through. And then that allows you to stay as calm as possible as well, because as we know, it takes one little thing to change our mindset if we're under pressure. And things like, a computer not behaving can just send you in a complete panic, and then you may not be able to pull yourself back and feel as focused as you would do. Same as well, which I'm rambling on now, but same as well, if you are in the centre-based exam, making sure that you turn up with loads of time as well. I don't know, because you would have sat exams in great halls like
in Victorian times.
And back in the olden days.
Yes.
And I sat my ACCA exams, particularly the last kind of the finals and the last couple from what was the official applied skills. I sat them in the Excel Centre in London. So it was this huge, massive centre with thousands of desks, which everyone then sat down and sat their exams. And actually, I used to turn up at least an hour before the exam started, and I'd go and get myself a coffee, and I'd go and sit down with a few little notes, and I would just, I was there. So trains weren't going to upset my day. I'd already arrived, and I just made sure that I had plenty of time so that I could just breathe.
Yeah.
And, breathing, we talk about as it's obviously a survival technique. It's important to breathe. But actually, learning to breathe deeply and just breathe through problems is really important. And I think, giving yourself some time before the exam to do that is important as well.
Yeah, just on one final tip on exam stress, and it's in line with what you said, Erin, is one time your mouse is going to break down and run out of batteries is on the day you're going to do the examination. So just in the line of our accountancy philosophy of prudence concept, I think always have like a spare set of batteries just in case your mouse breaks down on the day of the exam. It probably won't, but just in case, just have that mouse ready. That's great. Thank you very much, Erin. That's been a great sort of review on exam stress.